Wow, another commentary on Nicholas? Well, let's check this out. Maybe it will turn out to be good.
Oh, would you look at that? My first degree chain. And degree 0 is something made by Ben Shapiro. Oh no. My name is Amirys Mewmen, and welcome to my commentary.
Your audio is rather muffled. This might not be something you can fix easily, so I'm not going to hold it too much against you. However, I'd be remiss if I didn't at the very least point it out.
So, this is my first degree chain video, and because I don't think any of my friends are familiar with slideshow commentary community terminologies, allow me to explain.
Turn your background music down, I can barely hear you. Anyway, he goes on to explain the context behind the video he's covering, along with what degree chains are for those unaware, and I don't have any issues with those parts outside of what I've already addressed, so I'll just be skipping that.
Hey, so I've been noticing within the past year or so, the commentary videos, they've been getting political. We all know that. And most people within the CC, pretty left-leaning. That's just expected from that kind of community. And I've been a viewer for a long time, and a lot of these videos have been kind of annoying, so I just decided to throw my hat in the ring as somewhat of a right-wing voice, if you want to call it that.
Oh, you're here to be a right-wing voice? Well then, go right this way! To the exit. We don't need a right-wing voice.
Any explanation as to why you feel this way, or are you just going to say it without any elaboration?
Also, love you calling the commentary community annoying right off the bat. Lets me know exactly that you're not here in good faith.
You know, I'd personally take this statement just a tad more seriously if you didn't precede it with essentially saying that Nicholas should get out of here because of his political views. I'm just saying one person called the community kind of annoying, the other person said the video he's covering shouldn't exist. Which one seems more bad faith to you?
So that's basically what this video is about. It's my first video, so probably not that high quality. But not to waste any of you guys' time, this is the guy we'll be covering. I don't actually know how to pronounce his name. Hopefully someone in the comments will tell me. If anybody watches this video, that is, which is very unlikely.
Vomitator. Also, that if someone watches this video point aged a bit more poorly, considering how a lot of people have seen this video and are criticizing it. Whoops.
Okay, first off, what does people criticizing it have to do with anything? You could have just left it that people are watching it and stopped there. It's not a big deal, but I figured I should point it out. Furthermore, what the fuck was the point of this interjection? Like, I get what you're trying to do here, however, it just comes off as a really weird point to make. You're essentially going, "Joke's on you, Nicholas! Your video turned out to gain more traction than you thought it would. That's what you get for underestimating your own success." I just want to point out how you begin this rap by saying you're controversial, and then you say something that 65% of Americans agree with, meaning a large chunk of the majority are on your side.
This is a pretty dumb take. Just because an opinion is the majority doesn't mean the opinion isn't controversial. In 2020, the majority of people voted for Joe Biden. That doesn't mean that supporting Joe Biden isn't controversial.
Okay, fairness where fairness is due. His first interjection does give a good point. Things being the majority opinion doesn't mean they can't be controversial. Ephraim did drop the ball here. This is the only good point Nicholas makes, however.
So what was the point in keeping this interjection in if you had nothing to say about it other than that you agreed with it? You don't even really build off of anything, you just say that it is a correct point on Nicholas's part and then leave it at that. Sure, you also bring up this is the only interjection you think is valid, however, even if you felt the need to announce it, you didn't have to play it in order to make that point. You could have easily skipped it, and before skipping it, said something along the lines of, "Nicholas's interjection I'm about to skip is perfectly fine." That would have flowed much better, and made it so he didn't have to listen to an interjection that you had nothing to say about. And side note, you're also just kind of wrong here. I already talked about this in the Temporal Times commentary on Nicholas, so I'm not going to go into too much detail here. But I am going to point out how both you and Nicholas engage in somewhat wrong framing of what I said. You both claim that majority opinions can be controversial, and even ignoring my own disagreement with that, we aren't talking about a situation where 51% feel one way and 49% feel the other, but instead a case where 65% of people feel one way and 34% feel the other. That's not just a simple majority, that is an incredibly large chunk of the population. Hence why I said not just that a majority felt this way, but that a large chunk of the majority felt this way.
In fact, it's so controversial in the West to say that there are two genders that they literally are making laws to make it illegal to say that in countries like Canada and other places in Western Europe.
That's a bold claim. Care to show any source? I searched up illegal to say there's two genders in Canada, and all I could find was a story of a Catholic school student being suspended for being a transphobic dumbass. But that isn't a law in Canada being violated, just a school rule being violated. The student was arrested, but not because of the transphobia, but because he tried to return to class despite being suspended, which is trespassing, an already existing law. So yeah, unless you know something I don't, that claim is straight up false, buddy.
Are you going to show us this story by any chance, or provide us a link in the description so we can check it out for ourselves? Well, spoiler alert, this guy doesn't.
I'm not ashamed because I'm white. If every Caucasian's a bigot, I guess every Muslim's a terrorist. Every liberal is right.
Those two things in no way connect, though. Bigotry is an ideology, while terrorism is an action.
Again, this is another goofy take. The correlation between what he was making is that, oh, you're white, you must be racist, or oh, you're a Muslim, you must be a terrorist, is people assuming things about you. These assumptions usually being made because of negative stereotypes about either the race or the religion. I feel like you understood this and you just put this nitpick in to try to make your video longer.
Except these people call Muslims terrorists anyway, and also believe harmful stereotypes about people of color.
Okay, what do you mean by these people? Do you mean McDonald and Shapiro? Because if so, do you have any evidence? I'm not even saying you're wrong. In fact, in Shapiro's case, I know he's done it before. However, it would be wise for you to show proof because not everybody's going to know that inherently.
So, it comes off as hypocrisy because they are only upset when there's stereotypes about white people being racist and not stereotypes about any other race. Don't you love racism?
Except that has nothing to do with the point at hand, and I have no idea where you got that from. Fuck, Tom McDonald's verse only makes sense if you assume he disapproves of the idea of stereotyping all Muslims as terrorists. Because if he didn't, then why exactly would he compare it to something else that's very clear he disagrees with, that being stereotyping all white people as racists? No city actually defunded their police force. In fact, the amount of funding police have gotten over the past couple of years has gone up.
This is just such a fucking nerd emoji thing to say. Even if the police didn't actually get defunded, it doesn't change the fact that they wanted it to get defunded and were actively fighting to get them defunded.
Except the wording of the lyrics made it sound like that the police were in danger of being defunded, which they aren't. That was Efron's entire point.
No, my point was that it made it sound like the police were defunded. Not that they were in danger of being defunded. That would still mean they weren't defunded already, given that implies it's a possibility that could occur in the future. Anyway, that's all I want to cover, so final thoughts. Although this commentary wasn't horrible, it did have some rather glaring issues regarding points that stopped me from calling it good. Good night, and good luck.